guys, thanks for tuning in. Paul here. Today I got a 98 Lexus ES300 with the 3-liter in it. That's a 3000 V6 4 cam. The problem with this car is the knock sensor 1 is not working anymore, and O2 sensor upstream bank 1, sensor 1 bank 1. That's located down here. Let me get a light. I've heard of people trying to get to these from the bottom and you can't do it. If you look down in there, there goes the O2 sensor right down there. I hope you can see it. So it helps if you get this plenum out of the way, then you can get in there. I've been soaking it with PB Blaster. I'm getting ready to hit it again. While I'm doing this job, this car I think has 120,000 miles on it. So what's needed is the O2 sensor, actually air-fuel ratio sensor, and the knock sensor. So while I'm in here, I'm going to be doing plugs, wires, and fuel injectors. I have brand new gaskets for the upper plenum and the intake manifold. I bought 2 new knock sensors. Those are Denso OE sensors, and I also have the wiring harness for that. That will often fail even before the sensors go. And what else did I get? Oh, the bypass hose. There's a bypass hose in the valley in there that you'll want to change while you're in there. I tried depressurizing the fuel system on here. I can't seem to find the fuel pump relay. So I'm just going to crack a hose or just pull an injector. I'll make sure the engine's cool, the gas will evaporate, you know. You're going to have to drain your radiator fluid. On the passenger side, you'll see there's a white cock, petcock down there. Going to have to open that, put a container under the car. Please be careful not to spill this stuff around on the ground. Animals will eat antifreeze and die. What I started doing now was loosening my fuel, my throttle lines. This upper one is for the throttle. You're going to need 2 12-millimeter wrenches to get on there and back those nuts off. Then this one is your cruise control. That's 14-millimeter. All right. Then you just lift the cable and it'll slide out. I'm going to mark which cable is which so I just don't go through confusion. All right. Then I'm going to start loosening this stuff. You have Allens here. I don't know what size they are. Going to have to start pulling all the hoses. If you look at these hoses here, you have P, Q, or an O, and R. If you run back with the P and R, you'll see there is an R on the throttle body here, so you really can't mix them up. If you get the R hose right, then you'll know where the P hose goes. Then this Q or O1 runs down here. I'm not going to tape off every hose. Usually if you just pay attention and see which way they bend, they'll lead you to where they go. Take your time taking the engine apart. It pays to be methodical when you're taking these things apart, like have separate containers or little tool trays. As you go through in layers, put your bolts and nuts to the side. It makes reassembling the car go that much smoother. If you go in there like a wild banshee just ripping it apart, you'll have a hell of a time figuring out which bolts go where, you know. All right, guys, so I'm going to get started on this, and I guess I'll start filming then. Let me get ready. your car has the security feature on your radio, I hope you know the code, because if you disconnect that battery, you're going to get locked out of it. I have Mercedes, and what I can do is call the dealership and give them the VIN, and then they can give you that code. I guess we're going to start with hoses now and plugs. Luckily, these plugs only go on one way here. So be gentle with your plugs. They're old, they may be brittle. Don't go crazy with them. Nice, gentle. If you don't know how they work, take your time to figure them out. These, you just depress them on the back and they pull off. I've got 90 degree or 45 degree needle nose, which I find really work well for removing hoses. I actually notch these. You can see I put a notch in them. Makes them grab the hose clamp a little better. Won't slide off as easy. Some of these hose clamps, you're going to have to grab them. Let me get my straight needle nose. I have these. I have a smaller set of these. I don't know what the hell happened to them. Just give it a twist. Loosen it up, and it should pull off. I loosened these clamps, 10mm socket. You're going to have to disconnect your mass airflow sensor. Just press down on that. Should pull out. Got more hoses under here. I'll take them as I start lifting it out. I don't want to disconnect anything that I don't have to. I think that's going to have to come out, or just I can unhook that little clip there. That plug's being a little stubborn. Get a flashlight so I can look at that plug well. There you go. You got to push down towards the top of the plug, not towards the end, up towards the top. You got to push down, then it'll come out. These hoses can stay on here. Anything that can possibly stay on here, I'm leaving connected. I don't want to disconnect things that don't need to be disconnected. These might not, yeah, these are going to have to come off if I pull a Plenum out, right? Yeah, these are going to come off. Q. Let me mark that with a piece of tape. Alright, so far I've been pulling a load of vacuum hoses. I've marked some of them. I marked my upper and lower cables on my throttle control and my cruise control. Those vacuum lines in the back here that run back around the back of the plenum, I've marked those upper so I can differentiate which is which. Just take your time pulling your plugs and pulling your hoses, and try to pay attention and don't break any of the connections. Going slower winds up making you get done faster in the long run. I learned that the hard way, believe me. I used to tear into things like a psycho, and then I was lost when it was time to put it back together. Age and treachery over youth and vigor all the time. Alright, I'm just going to continue to pull hoses. This is a diagnosis port, huh? Look at that. A lot of these you got to get in there, push out a little bit, then it'll lift up off the bracket. Again, be gentle, you don't want to break it. The ground wire there, huh? Gotta lift up on that one. Don't forget the ground wire. Looks like a 12 or a 14. Might be a 13 mil. Oh, it's a 12. I'm going to run that back in there. Got this unplugged. Instead of losing this, getting confused, I'll just run this one back in here and leave that ground disconnected. We'll just know that other ground goes up to that. And try to get in there with a pick tool. That hose is pretty hard. I don't know if that's even going to come off of there. Go. That's PCV hose. Alright, I need a break.